Please come to order for the regular meeting in Windsor Heights City Council. Roll call.
Scaries?
Here.
Joseph Jones?
Here.
Mike Lafredo?
Here.
Mike Jones?
Here.
And Harms.
Yes.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Move approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Okay, second, Joseph? Okay. Roll call.
Lafredo?
Yes.
Joseph Jones?
Yes.
Scaries?
Yes.
Mike Jones?
Yes.
Harms.
Yes.
First item on the agenda of a series of public hearings is considering the maximum tax dollars for certain levies for the city's proposed fiscal year 2021 budget. Move to open the session.
So moved.
Roll call.
Harms.
Yes.
Joseph Jones?
Yes.
Scaries?
Yes.
Lafredo?
Yes.
Mike Jones?
Yes. Public hearing is open. Do we have any public comment?
No question.
Mike?
Question I have, and I think you probably explained it to me prior, it just reiterating. Where we go down to 0 on line 6 and 8 and 9. That is because we're moving it into the general fund?
It's because we're using lost funds instead of levying for it.
Okay. So the lost funds are where?
We'll move the lost funds into the general fund to pay for those specific things.
Is all of the lost money going into that general fund?
No, the lost money is going, it's divided up quite a few different ways.
Okay, good. So at least half is going into infrastructure.
Yes. Well, 50% is property tax relief and 50% is considered other.
Right, correct. Okay, thank you.
Any further questions? Move to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Joseph Jones?
Yes.
Harms.
Yes.
Scaries?
Yes.
Lafredo?
Yes.
Mike Jones?
Yes. The next item is consideration of Resolution 2020-21, resolution to adopt the fiscal year 2021 maximum property tax dollars for certain levies. Motion?
So moved.
Any discussion? Hearing
Do they
none?
anticipate fixing this misleading form at any point?
It's a great question for this state of Iowa. As there's a bunch of finance directors who's completely unhappy with the way it's turned out. So maybe by next year they'll do something better.
This is on public hearing?
This is
No.
the A1.
This is our vote. Hearing no further questions, roll call.
Harms.
Yes.
Joseph Jones?
Yes.
Scaries?
Yes.
Lafredo?
Yes.
Mike Jones?
Yes. Next item is opening a public hearing on a proposal to enter into a general obligation, corporate purpose, and refunding loan agreement, Series 2020A, for College and Allison and 69. Motion to open a public hearing.
So moved.
Second?
Roll call.
Harms.
Yes.
Lafredo?
Yes.
Mike Jones?
Yeah.
Joseph Jones? Yes. Scaries?
Yes.
Any public discussion? Hearing none, motion to close public hearing.
Second.
Roll call.
Joseph Jones?
Yes.
Harms.
Yes.
Scaries?
Yes.
Lafredo?
Yes.
Mike Jones?
Yes.
Next item is consideration of resolution 20-22, A resolution taking additional action on the proposal to enter into general obligation corporate purpose and refunding loan agreement and providing for the levy of taxes to pay the same. Motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on this one?
We've had plenty of discussion about it.
Okay. Roll call.
Mike Jones,
Yes.
Joseph Jones,
Yes.
Harms,
Yes.
LaFredo,
Yes.
Skiris.
Yes.
Next item is a public hearing on a proposal to enter into a general obligation urban renewal loan agreement, Series 2020B on University Avenue. Motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Harms,
Yes.
Mike Jones,
Yes.
LaFredo,
Yes.
Joseph Jones,
Yes.
Skiris.
Yes.
Any public discussion on that? Hearing none, motion to close.
So moved. Second.
Roll call.
Joseph Jones,
Yes.
Harms,
Yes.
Mike Jones,
Yes.
LaFredo,
Yes.
Skiris.
Yes.
Next item is consideration of resolution 2020-23, resolution taking additional action on proposal to enter into a general obligation urban renewal loan agreement, Series 2020B.
So moved.
No second.
Any discussion?
It looks like time healed all wounds of this project, I guess.
It was just a big scam out of it.
All right.
Roll call.
Harms,
Yes.
Joseph Jones,
Yes.
LaFredo,
Yes.
Mike Jones,
Yes.
and Skiris.
Yes.
Next item is public hearing regarding the plans, specifications, form of contract, and estimate of cost for 2020 street improvement project, Allison between 64th and 69th, and 69th Street between school and university. Motion to open.
So moved. Second.
Roll call.
Joseph Jones,
Yes.
Harms,
Yes.
Mike Jones,
Yes.
LaFredo,
Yes.
Skiris.
Yes.
Any public comment on? Hearing none, motion to close public hearing.
So, second.
Yeah, motion by Mike, and who was the second?
Roll call.
Mike Jones,
Yes.
LaFredo,
Yes.
Joseph Jones,
Yes.
Skiris,
Yes.
and Harms.
Yes.
Next item is consideration of the resolution 2020-24 to award the contract for 2020 street reconstruction projects, Allison and 69th, of $2,634,369.85. Motion.
So moved.
Or second.
Discussion?
Is someone from BMI going to say something? I was just curious.
That's fine.
Justin Ernst Boltnick, do you have any specific questions?
Yeah,
Yeah.
there were some pretty significant differences in estimate, and I was just curious, like, I don't even know what this is, 8-inch C900 DR18 PVC pipe with tracer wire.
Yep. Water main.
Okay. It's like I think it was like $50,000. Does that sound right?
Yeah.
I'm just curious about what's the difference between your estimate and like what they're saying. How do we come up with such different numbers?
Those were, anything water related is from Dwayne Waterworks and their estimates. You got good bids. I mean, I think we hit the perfect time for bidding and kind of how it goes. Sometimes with estimating these projects are like this, it's kind of like playing a game. They could vary a price, some higher price somewhere else, so we kind of try to hit what we think a actual program is, where the contractor could add $10 a linear foot to storm sewer or something and get it cheaper there. It's kind of a game they play how to win a project, right? As long as the lowest bid, the lowest bid is kind of how we have to go about it.
So,
They use historical prices from Des Moines Waterworks.
okay,
Long story short.
all right, so resident courtesy car,
Yep.
$30,000.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you bid, or that's what your estimate was.
Mm-hmm.
So they said $15,000.
Yep.
For a cart. Do we get to keep the cart?
Nope.
It's a really nice car.
You could buy it though, right?
Well, we basically did. It's for a cart.
Yep. Plus manpower to run the cart. Sunset Terrace, to give you an instance, the cart got stolen, so I'm sure they had to eat whatever money out of their pocket. So essentially, they have to come, resident calls, wants a ride, they have to send a guy in, who knows where they live, come in, pick them up, drop the resident off, and then they might get another call 2 hours later to do the same thing when the guy's at home, so it's kind of.
Okay.
For them to.
Labor intensive.
Business is booming in this industry, it seems.
Not really, I mean, you
The
got.
cart business.
Well, yeah, if you have to pay for one getting stolen, I guess, then, I think the 30,000 came from what you paid for Sunset Terrace, I believe is what I used, because not everybody uses that.
Do we get to keep that cart?
It got stolen.
So one of them got
Do we get to keep the replacement cart?
Depends who stole it, right?
Right, so,
Don't look at my
Don't just
backyard.
let's buy a cart and then maybe we can,
Yeah, that's.
we can rent it out to the other
There you go.
cities.
Business opportunity that will be our investment for the future.
yeah,
I think the card is a good idea for people that have a hard time getting around.
yeah, and
Yeah, I think that's good.
not many projects have it in, so for us to guess price on it's kind of
Important.
hard, so. Yeah.
Any further discussion? Public?
The, one thing I did notice is the seating.
Mhm.
You may recall, there's been a bit of a problem with that.
Yep.
Going over years now.
Mhm.
I think we're a bit late in the process, I guess, but is there like a contingency plan for if things go awry with grass growing?
I added another item in there for watering, trying to help maybe actually to pay for the watering if that will help to make it grow. So I added things in there for that, so I guess we'll have to, Dalton and I'll have to talk about a contingency plan.
Well, did we pay for watering previously?
No,
Okay, as long as we're making.
I'm trying new things to, it's usually, trust me, it's not just here that you have issues with grass growing, it's pretty much every project, construction project, unless you get lucky.
Okay.
The problem is it's the last thing to happen, and if it gets to be Thanksgiving and you're trying to grow grass, that's just.
That's the last
Oh,
thing
Mark,
everybody
don't
sees.
worry, we know.
We try to-
You haven't
every
been
season.
here for this.
Every season we try to
True,
grow
I
grass.
know, but I've seen it elsewhere.
Right.
Just don't let it linger as long as it didn't pass.
Yeah, well, there's legally some issues with contracts and such.
Best effort.
Yeah.
No excuses, just answers.
Yep.
Nothing
My
further?
frivolity or however is over. Thank you. Thank you, Justin, for answering my question.
Yep.
Roll call.
Barnes,
Yes.
Mike Jones,
Yes.
Fredo,
Yes,
Joseph Jones.
Yes.
And Steers.
Yes.
Item E is public hearing regarding plans, specifications, form of contract, estimate of cost for College Drive improvements between Harbach and 73rd Street. Motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Who second? Okay. Roll call.
Barnes,
Yes.
Mike Jones,
Yes.
Fredo,
yes,
Steers.
Yes.
Any public comment or questions on?
Move to close.
Sorry?
Roll call.
Harms,
Yes.
Joseph Jones,
Yes.
Mike Jones,
Yes.
Lefredo,
Yes.
Skiris.
Yes.
Next item is consideration of the resolution 2025. Resolution awarding a contract for College Drive improvements of $1,969,869. Move, motion,
Move to approve.
Second.
roll call.
Harms,
Yes.
Mike Jones,
Yes.
Lefredo,
Yes.
Joseph Jones.
Yes.
Skiris.
Yes.
Next item on the agenda is public forum, time set aside for comments from the public on topics of city business other than those that are on the agenda. No action will be taken. Come to the podium, state your name and address for the record. And please keep your comments to no more than 5 minutes. Hearing none, item number 5 is consent agenda.
Move to approve.
Roll call.
Harms,
Yes.
Joseph Jones,
Yes.
Mike Jones,
Yes.
Lefredo,
Yes.
Skiris.
Yes.
Item number 6, and under new business, is consideration of resolution 20-26 to set a public hearing on plans, specs, form of contract, estimate of cost for the University of Avenue project. The date for the public hearing will be March 16th. Roll call, or not roll call,
Move to approve.
Second.
Second.
discussion.
Why do we get the money before?
What did we get the money before?
Yeah.
Well, this resolution just sets the hearing for the University Ave project. It doesn't approve a contract, it just sets the hearing so that you can approve the contract for the next week. Does that answer your question?
Well, what I mean is, we're getting you money,
We approve the borrow.
yes,
Yes, we do.
but we don't know what's gonna cost.
We do know what's going to cost, because
The estimate.
we have the bid from the contractor, and we have the construction inspection estimate, or quotation from Bolton Make for that. So, I can tell you, total something.
Well, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's what we went over Thursday night. So I can show you what those numbers
No,
are.
that's fine. I just didn't understand why it wasn't tonight.
Because we have to set the hearing, and we didn't know at the previous council meeting what was gonna be happening with those bids, because they went through the DOT. And we didn't know
Okay.
when for sure we would know from the DOT. We pestered the DOT enough where they finally told us, yes, you can release the number, but if we had
Okay.
just left it to the normal course, it might not have been released by now.
Okay, got it.
Mark, did I hear Thursday night or something?
Yeah, Thursday night, when the Windsor Voices meeting, we talked about the cost for this project.
Okay.
And we could have set the hearing at the previous meeting in February, but we weren't sure what was gonna happen with DOT notification on the bids, so we didn't do that, because we'd have had to do it again if we hadn't gotten a notification in time. So we decided, since we didn't know what the DOT was gonna do, we just didn't do anything and waited to hear from them.
And I understand what Mike's saying, it's kind of reverse order.
Yes, yeah. Yes, I understand, you're approving the borrowing before you're approving the project, which is, probably not the normal way to do it. But the city still has the option to not borrow the money if for some reason the city would decide not to proceed with the project. We just put the wheels in motion so you could do it, it doesn't mean. you
Yeah, I think we're past that point. I was just inquiring about the timeline, that is all. So,
Yes, it's
that
not.
is an acceptable explanation, I just didn't understand.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any further discussion? Roll call.
Harms,
Yes.
Joseph Jones,
Yes.
Mike Jones,
Yes.
Lefredo,
Yes.
Skiris.
Yes.
The next item is consideration of resolution 20-27, setting a date for public hearing on designation of the expanded Windsor Heights Consolidated Urban Renewal Area and on the Urban Renewal Plan Amendment.
This would be for April 6th.
Move to approve. Move to set the public hearing.
Second?
Second.
Okay, roll call.
Harms,
Yes.
Joseph Jones,
Yes.
Mike Jones,
Yes.
LaFredo,
Yes.
Skiris.
Yes.
That will be April 6th. Item C is consideration of resolution 2028, authorizing and approving the Des Moines Metro Area Solid Waste Agency doing business as Metro Waste Authority to enter into a loan agreement and providing for the issuance and securing the payment of a material recovery facility solid waste disposal revenue note, Series 2020, in a principal amount not to exceed $24,500,000, and refund current outstanding indebtedness and maintain outstanding indebtedness in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $50 million.
Someone translate?
Well, there is some controversy on this, right?
Well, you were at the last meeting, so I'm not
From
sure.
the commission
Oh, you mean just from,
from Mid-America.
Oh,
Hey.
Right time.
Perfect time.
I was just gonna say, Mr. McCoy was
Yeah.
going to be here eventually, so
Okay.
thanks for coming.
Step right up.
Sure. You want to put it into a motion before we have comment?
Sure, I can move to approve.
Second.
Mike?
Sir, would you like to explain this?
Sure. Where are we at in the project?
We literally just read the.
Okay. Just left Ankeny, doing the same, so I apologize for being late
You're fine.
tonight.
We just appreciate you coming.
Absolutely. So, as you see in the resolution, Metro is asking for the authority from each city to go and bond, use the bond capacity for the county. It is the first time that the Metro has taken this approach. I do think, in my opinion, it is the fiscally responsible thing to do. It is not as easy as it looks when it comes to, we could have gone for a bank loan, as we have in the past, and gotten higher interest, and it would have saved some time going to each council here over the last month to month and a half, but this is a great opportunity to partner with Polk County. They've not only agreed once to do it, it had to go in front of them twice because of some changes, and agreed to do it the second time. The first one, we went in front of them for the $24,500,000. That's the financing of the facility, which we've discussed here several times, and you've heard for a couple of years of this discussion. They approved that. Shortly after that, it was only maybe a day or two that some folks stumbled on the $8 million, which was outstanding debt for us at Northwest Transfer Station in Grimes, and saw it as an opportunity to bundle that and do a refund on the $8 million at a higher interest rate. It's a great idea. We then had to go back to the to the county next week, the week after that, and again proposed that. They approved that as well. What came out of that was a discussion with bond counsel as well as PFM, our financial consultants, on our capital projects and CIP. Through that, they saw several large items coming up, both a cell development, cell being the hole, a very complex hole in the ground, a very garbage. That rate has gone up. We're looking at that in the next 2 years to be building that new cell. This past year, we built one at $8 million, a little over $8 million. The next one being $12 million budgeted. We also are looking at doing a transfer station, which we have in Grimes as well as Delaware. Delaware is outdated and outgrown. We are now limiting trucks going into Delaware. On top of that, that's the garbage side, so on top of that, we're also looking at the efficiencies for a new garbage and recycling transfer station. As we picked Grimes as our location, which we own 13 acres out there next to the transfer station now, it's on rail as well, and that's how kind of the last decision between the two properties we were vetting came down to the rail. So that puts us into the spot of what do we do about the old outdated transfer station? Do we build one together at the same time? Again, the last transfer station costing around $12 to $13 million to build. Could we duplicate that around 15 to 18 million? So the minds came together and suggested to put the 50 out there, the 50 million, rather than start the process all over again. So it's a bit like a WRA process where you're setting a cap and then going out to do your CIPs off of that. So there is a reason behind the number, but it did all come very quickly. And for that, I apologize. However, some of this, well, all of this deadline is being dictated by the county because, again, we are wanting to piggyback on their June issuance of debt for the GEO bonds. They would be putting the bond sale out in April, end of April, closing and money coming in June 4th. So that has really sped up the process to do this.
Michael, this relates to the commission vote at the last meeting where the opposition was from Mid-America.
Yeah. So of course the speaker at that board meeting, Metro Waste, was in opposition. They were the owners of the current processing facility. We expected them to be in opposition and continue to be in opposition of this. The numbers they used and some of the scenarios they used were completely false. However, don't let the facts get in the way of a good story. It was told anyway. So the numbers are the numbers that are in here, and it is for the sustainability of Central Iowa. It will be growing outside of the metro area, and users will be outside. We've already had cities like Omaha asked for us to bid on processing of their material in the future. And so this need is bigger than just us in the metro, and we will take advantage of that need, and we will welcome, once we open those doors, to any commercial or residential hauling from as far away as they want to come. Again, the process has been vetted over almost a 3-year period of time. We have turned over every stone. We just, last time I presented, we were in our 50-year anniversary in 2019. I equate this to what's going to happen in the next 50 years with recycling. And if that's what we want for our communities, and whether you believe in it or not, it is the demand out there is for recycling, and it's not going to go away. How do we do the sustainable model that we did at the landfill 50 years ago? How do we now do it for recycling for the next 50 so we're not dealing with this problem again? This was the choice of the board and the cities. And so now we're just trying to work out the best financing. We couldn't have planned or even wished any better scenario for interest rates to be hitting. It's too bad if they're hitting why they're hitting. That's unfortunate, but we will get the lowest interest rates in the history of the United States for this bond. That's what we're at today with interest rates, just told them 3. Now if we can just time the commodity markets when we open in 21, that they go up to, we might all have to just retire and be done.
Mike, is China still closed to accepting?
Yeah, so China, that's a tough one. Closed is strong, but they are limiting our material and certainly limiting the garbage and the old was 15, 20, even 30% garbage inside contamination that they were buying. They are not buying that anymore. They won't, and it's 0.5. They are letting some go inside there or above that with some good partnerships. But what the Chinese did was interesting. The government closed the markets, but what the mills said, we're being strangled. We can't do this. Just because the government doesn't want it, we need the material. They bought 3 mills, closed mills in the United States, and are revamping them. They're called the 9 Dragons out of China. They're revamping these mills now to open up because they said, we still want the United States material. we'll just produce the pulp here and ship it instead of shipping the recyclables. So those are opening as we speak, as well as two major plants opening, one in Indiana and one in Ohio, that are opening up capacity. We are in negotiations now with those plants to buy our material and to get on a contract with them for the future. Instead of chasing kind of the ups and downs of the commodity, let's just lock in with a couple of buyers. So they're closed, but they're coming to us now.
Yeah, good, that's good news.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
Now, I don't want to leave it all rosy, right? It's terrible markets. It's the worst markets, commodity markets, and recycling that have ever been. The feasibility shows we will lose money, right? But right now, with the increase of the fees that the current processor has given us last November, 37% increase, puts us at about a $1.5 million loss projected this year. We're hoping to reduce that in different ways, but the projections in the feasibility study are $700,000 loss to own it ourselves. Just wanted to make sure when I did lose $700,000, you all knew about it ahead of time.
That's always good.
I'm hoping we don't.
Always about setting expectations.
You're right, right. I gotta keep the bar at a reasonable level, but, you know, we hope that some things will change. This interest rate and this financing is really gonna help us tremendously. We were just going through those figures at 3 o'clock. I'm not ready to share the exact numbers till we get them more, but we're talking hundreds of thousands on that, on the annual fees. There you go. I walked in on that and bam, you just got a 15-minute, whatever it was.
Good job.
So, any other questions? We are at 9 cities at this point. 2 will vote tonight. We're hoping the rest of them will be done by there's some on the 16th and then the 23rd. Thank you, Mayor. Thanks, Council.
Thank you. Additional comments or? Roll call.
Harms,
Yes.
Lefredo,
Yes.
Mike Jones,
Yes.
Joseph Jones.
Yes.
Skeers.
Yes.
Thanks, man. Next item, consideration of resolution 2020-29, accepting a proposal from Key Elements Consulting for personnel services. Motion?
So moved.
Second.
Mark?
Well, I think I've provided as much information as I can about this. If anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer them. I think these are a good process for the city to undertake. I think the cost is better than I had expected, so that's a plus also. I really don't have anything more to say unless there are some questions.
Any other comments from
No,
council?
the only question, and I sent it to you, maybe it's not been answered, I guess. It was about,
Try to.
any experience with municipalities?
Yes, here's the, it's a long answer to the question.
Okay,
So
good,
I talked
I'll take
to
it with me.
one of the owners of the company, and they haven't worked directly for municipalities, but they've worked for organizations that work for municipalities. So I think they are well suited to proceed with the work described in the RFP, which is review of the wages for management positions, review of the job descriptions for management positions, and review of the city's personnel policies for all non-represented employees. So,
Mark, do you know if this is consistent with, or similar to what we've done in the past?
I understand the city has done something similar in the past. The wage matrix, which the city had, it's my understanding it's expiring this year, so this is a good time in that respect to review that wage issue. I don't know that there have been job description or personnel policy reviews, not that I know of.
Okay.
The wage thing, I think, has been reviewed. There's been contracting in the past.
So they'll compare them to other like cities, or how do, I mean, they're
Yes.
trying
They
to.
will do that, and they will use, I think, a fair number of metro area cities as a gauge also. Although Windsor Heights is a small fish in the pond, there are a lot of fish in that pond. So I think they're going to be looking at comparable jobs in other communities, and what the consultant said in their proposals, they want to do the job description review first, so that they have a good ability to compare with other communities.
Additional comments or questions? Roll call.
Mike Jones,
Yes.
Lefredo,
Yes.
Joseph Jones,
Yes.
Skiris,
Yes.
Harms.
Yes.
Next item is consideration of resolution 2020-30, resolution authorizing the mayor to enter an agreement into the city's audit for the city's audit for fiscal years 2019 to 20, 2020 to 21, and 21 to 22, the amount of $61,800. Motion?
So moved.
Second.
Mark, would you like to?
Yes, as I explained in the email I sent out, the Ide Bailey proposal is not the cheapest, but I think they are well qualified and come highly recommended from people who should know what good audits look like. And I think they're the right group to do this. Certainly the other companies that have put in proposals, I'm not questioning their competence, they're all professionally competent people, but I think it's good to have a fresh look from an organization that really hasn't been involved here in the past. And that's the reason I'm suggesting this group, even though their cost is a little more than I wish it was, but the people who they work for speak highly of them, and I think it's worth that. And as it said in the email, if after the first year the city decides this just isn't worth the extra cost, and I think the city's obligated to continue, you can simply select somebody else beyond that point.
Look, I would have a comment, just that we've heard complaints about the former audits that we've received.
Yeah, and that group does not recommend it.
Okay, so I think it's time for a change.
Why do the bids get higher over time?
I don't know, because their costs of operations go up in theory every year, so they have to pay more of their employees, or their health insurance costs go up.
I see that everybody's do, I'm just curious, I don't understand why.
In my experience, that's the way these companies bid their work, for whatever reason, I can't really explain.
I have a question about, you said that you would go with the higher number firm, just to get the city's bookkeeping kind of back on track, or however you wanna word it. Would Denman not be able to do the same thing, or, cause it seems, almost $20,000 seems a little bit excessive to me.
Yeah, I certainly understand your point. I've worked with the Denman folks in the past, they're certainly competent. They've been the city's auditor in the past, is my understanding, and that's the reason that I don't think they're a good choice this time. I think it's good to break off any relationship with anybody who's been here in the past and have a different group look at it. But I agree, it's a premium to pay for that, and the council has to decide, is the additional cost worth having somebody totally new come in? So that's your decision to make, and I'm not gonna fault either one. The Denman people are certainly competent, but they've been here in the past.
So both companies would be doing the same exact thing?
Well-
Is that like,
That's a good question.
because we put out an RFQ for the auditing, which came back this,
Right.
but now we also want them to go back through the bookkeeping. Well, did the other people, I mean, is this like fair, or are we comparing
I
apples
think it's
to oranges?
fair. And so I went through the proposals, so the RFP has got 20, 25 different things they're all supposed to provide. And I only reviewed 3 of them. One of them clearly didn't provide all the information, so they're gonna, because I went through a bit of theirs, they didn't give us everything, so okay, they're out. And the other 2 I looked at were Denman, because they were the lowest cost of the one that I thought was the best if we're going to not pick Ide Bailey. I didn't review Martin's even though they were the lowest cost, but because they're the previous auditor and it's time for a
For
change.
3 years, it's time to change.
And the other one I looked at was Ide Bailey, based on the comments I heard from other people who used them in the past. So I only looked at state auditor, who didn't provide everything, Denman, who was the lowest cost, that wasn't the current auditor, and Ide Bailey, who was the one that I thought was the best, although admittedly they're the highest cost. So I went through and just verified that, that those two firms submitted all the stuff that was requested in the RFP, and they did. I can show anybody that wants to see it, my notes, show where on the proposal they provided all that information. If I'm answering your question, I'm just rambling on here, I don't know.
What did we have last time?
Martin's is the company. They're the lowest, but it's time for a change.
No, I think it's time for change.
So does that answer your question, or not really?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, what's the rationale that you didn't like, you said it and I didn't quite catch it all, but with Denman,
Well, they've been here in the past, and
how long ago?
I don't know.
I think they were here when I first came on council,
Denman.
so it's been 3 years.
State, so that goes back 369. Each one of them were 3 years, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong in your recollection, Teresa. But I think Martin had a 3-year contract, and I think it was Denman. I think that was a 3-year contract, and then we had the state just before them.
So it's been 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Yes.
So in terms of changing, let's get a fresh face, let's get a different opinion. Otherwise, the same folks will go back, like we've noted in the past, they go back and take the same ones and reiterate them. So let's,
Let me ask one follow-up question to that, because I wasn't here then. Were we dissatisfied, and I say the city dissatisfied with Denman?
I'm not aware.
I can't answer that question, so.
I know, either can I. I mean, Therese was there.
I don't recall any dissatisfaction.
I can just answer from the audit file, that Denman was the auditor for several years. I wanna say probably 6 or more than that, maybe 9. So, and then there was a state audit, and then we got Martin's. And I was told Martin's came in that they kind of just went off the state audit and then started with the state audit. So I don't know if then the state audit just took up what Denman had and then went forward with that. So I personally agree with Mark's.
Well, I don't know about that either, but I'm kind of following up with Susan's comment. This puts you on the spot a little bit more, I don't mean to, but
Fine.
looking at Denman versus the recommended choice, other than we've had them 3 years ago, any other downsides with that?
Not that I know of. I know the guy who's been the main person with them on these municipal audits, Dave Ellis. He's a very competent person. I have no questions about their professional abilities. So if you think, as I said, it's a question of, do you think having somebody new, totally new, is worth the extra cost? And that's, you know, I'm not sure there's a right answer to that question. You can argue, I can argue either side of that question.
It's only, the agreement's only for 1 year, isn't it? Or is it for the whole time?
Well, the agreement's for 3 years, but if you don't like what they do, I think the city, well, I defer to the city attorney on that. The city is not satisfied with their work.
There's not any locked in what I've seen anyways, there's not any locked in for 3 years, so.
Okay, just-
Unless there's gonna be a subsequent formal agreement.
Okay. I don't know, I like to consider Denman. I think you brought up a good point.
I think I could stomach it a little bit more if it was 2,500 or 5,000, but we're talking, I mean, my math isn't the best, 16,000-ish. That's,
Over 3 years, yes, that's right.
we're even looking at, what, about 5,000 the first year? Correct, so,
It's more.
Well, I believe the reason why Mark had made this recommendation was concerned about our bookkeeping, right?
Yes.
And, I mean, wanting to get that fixed. Thus the recommendation for the people who are the most thorough. I don't know, you said they sent you an extra thing that no one else sent you, I thought.
Well, yeah, they emailed their proposal, which nobody else did, and nobody was requested to email their proposal, so, for whatever that's worth. the main reason for selecting or recommending these guys is what I heard from the city of Riverdale, the city of West Des Moines, and what Rochelle relayed me from a fellow at the state who's responsible for looking over municipal budgets and compliance with the law. So that's the main reason. That's what I heard of from other people. And looking at their proposal, their employees are certainly capable.
Who uses Denman, that we know of?
I don't know, but I'm sure they have multiple municipal clients in Iowa.
Anybody else?
We're in the process.
So, Mark, you're, do you think this is what we should do, obviously?
Yes.
Tell me what you think of it. I'm struggling a little bit with get our books in order. I thought that was part of Michelle's new job, and that was part of what she was doing. So tell me how the audit, I'm not a finance major, nor do I play one on TV, but tell me what is that process, or what do we get for that, or how is that different than what she's doing in her role? Help me understand that, if that's supposed to be value add here.
Yes, well, she would have somebody to consult with who has history with probably similar situations in other organizations. Now, you could say Denman has that ability too, and yeah, they probably do. Again, I can only repeat what I've already said. I think Urbandale and West Des Moines are very well-run organizations, and if their finance people say these people are doing a good job, and they sent me written comments that went beyond just, yeah, they're doing a good job, like Joan doing it, and they were quite supportive of the work that the audit firm did. So Rochelle is very good, but everybody needs somebody to talk to once in a while about what do you do in this situation, because the city's gonna head off in some areas potentially in the future that may not be the normal thing that cities do, and so then it's helpful to have somebody you can call and say, well, how do I set this account up, or do we need another fund, or was this expense, or is this transfer the right one, or any of those bookkeeping type questions that somebody probably in this job is not gonna be able to give the best answer for.
No, and I appreciate that, I didn't know that, so thank you for that, but my question is, but that's not what thanks for the question, because that's not what I thought I heard. I thought I heard you cleaning it up, but that's what I thought you were already doing. So I just wanna make sure I understand what you say, what it was supposed to be, because I thought you said this was for cleanup.
I did say that. I think it's going to take potentially a year or two to get all the cleanup things cleaned up.
Sure,
I'm gonna
that takes
defer to
time.
Michelle on that question, is that?
Yeah, that's exactly, what that person is to me, this person would be to me, is my go-to, to say, listen, are we doing this right? How could we do this better? I wanna make sure we're doing this correctly. And then they would be my mentor to make sure that we are getting this right. Because there's a lot of things that are not right. And my main concern with having anyone that's already touched the city finances, we're looking back to 2007 and earlier, and there's issues. Well, if you bring in a company that was here 6 years ago, and they didn't find the issues, then are they still not gonna find the issues? That's my only concern. I just wanna be sure that we have someone, I don't care who it is, really I don't. I just wanna be sure that we have someone that will actually find and understand what the problems are that exist with the finances.
Rochelle, it seems to me with auditors, and I've had associations with several auditors, they don't do a real in-depth analysis. You know, they don't, but they should be available no matter which one it is to answer your questions.
Sure, absolutely.
But they're pretty cursory, I find.
And I think that's why when I was speaking to Ted Nelson and we were discussing some TIF issues that the city has, and he said, who's your auditor? And I said, we're actually out for an RFP. And he said, oh, let me tell you, there's two audit firms, and I Bailey was one of them that he said, they're amazing, they'll actually help you work through some of these issues. And so I said, hey, listen, if we could get them on board, that would be fantastic. If we can't, it's no problem. We'll work through it. It's not an issue.
I know I am, and I'm guessing others are too. We want, I mean, that's our major role is to protect the taxpayers' dollars.
Exactly.
And I commented last time when the auditor reported that it's disgraceful. It's disgraceful. And as a council person, I'm kind of ashamed of what was produced from our financial people at that time. So, yeah, I mean, I'm willing to go with the higher one if that gives a level of confidence greater than the others would do. I mean, that's real important for you and for Mark and the incoming administrator and Travis. I mean, I think that's real important to have that level of confidence. To me, it is worth that difference in money.
I think it'll be value added. I really
Okay,
do
well,
feel
that's
it.
good. I'm
But
glad you spoke up.
We'll make it work no matter what. We'll
Well,
fix it, we'll get it fixed.
We need to hear you. I think we've heard you.
What's the actual motion?
To authorize me to enter an agreement with the city for the city's audit for the fiscal years 2019, 20, 2020, 21, 22, 21 to 22. So whatever, pardon?
Allison Avenue and 69th Street, that there are several properties that you just do it on their own. So, I mean, I don't know how you get to that, but it is a concern that I have, and I think others have, that there's some worry about the amount of cars at some of these rental properties and how the property is cared for. Not all of them, but some.
I think the rental code is chapter 156, and so what I said in my email about this is, I think the city should hire a service provider and then go into chapter 156. And I don't know if there's a way to deal with the questions you just asked, but that would be the vehicle to get at those questions, is to review chapter 156 and find out, do we like what's in there, are there things we can do differently? And I'm not gonna pretend to know the answer to all those questions, but.
I don't have an answer to recommend or suggest or consider.
I think that's the process to get at the questions that you're
Okay.
describing.
Okay, sounds good.
Well, and this has been an issue in the past, it's not a new one that we've tried to tackle up here and done, I think, a variety of ways, but, so which department would that fall under? Public Works, just city administration? Okay, so maybe we can put that on the to-do list when we get a new person on board to look at that, and, because I know I've had calls about it too, with concerns. Mark, I've shared those with you, and just, how can we update that, code provision to,
It's uniform, isn't it?
I don't know, because I haven't.
Inspection, I think, is.
I thought
It is
uniform
a
was.
uniform code. We have some, all cities have some special provisions that they adopt, but it's largely a uniform code.
Okay, thank you. So to that point, though, like we require the purchase of a sign, right? I mean, there's little things like that. I don't know if that's the idea for helping track, do cities do a rental registration? I know we have rentals in Des Moines, and so we have to, go through that process. I have a rental in Windsor Heights. I know my husband manages it. I keep my hands out of it, but that those are the process, I know that we have to go through processes for each one. It's a little different, for each one. But
Maybe when that happens on the ordinance, other cities can be reviewed.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That would be part of what you do.
So, I mean, that would be one that I would request.
Well, that was one of the things that they did when we went to the uniform code, to try and get as many of the entire metro agencies together to have very, very similar codes. So that if you had one in Windsor Heights, you had one in Clive or Urbandale, the deviation is not that great. You've got the same list of things that have to be taken care of.
But it's probably about time that should be reviewed. I mean, how long ago was that?
About 2 years. If I remember correctly, it hasn't been that long.
It wasn't while I was on the
I don't understand, I don't know.
3 years maybe.
council. It's when the trees went to
Okay, we can get you the answer on that and when it was.
It doesn't make a difference, I just think. it
Well,
should
just for
be.
information.
Okay.
We got, it's on the table. Any further comment, otherwise? Roll call.
Well, I think we actually discussed the The actual thing we're talking about?
The actual thing that was
Well-
up for a motion, I think.
Well, would you like to make some more
No, I
comments?
don't have any more comments. Mark can speak to it briefly. I appreciate that.
Well, the primary reason for removing this vendor is they're already doing the city's building inspection. I believe they're competent to do the work. I think, from what I can tell, the staff is satisfied with the building inspection services are provided. I don't hear much, and when I don't hear much, generally that means things are going okay. And I've had some communication with the vendor, and they seem to be in the kind of the cycle now of how to deal with the city's issues from a building inspection perspective. So I think that's working well, and whenever I've had to contact them about whatever the issues were, they've been responsive and have answered the questions quickly, and they seem like people who will do a good job. And if they don't, as with anything, the city has the right to change its mind at some point. If we find that, oh, this isn't really working the way we thought it would, then you can change your mind and pick somebody else.
And Dalton and the police force, in mind with that?
Yeah, well, Chief McCluskey is definitely, and as I said in my email, the fire department is still gonna maintain the records. So the chief and I reviewed the two proposals and both agreed that this was the correct vendor, or the vendor we believe would provide service and was, because they're already here doing building inspection. Now, I should tell you too, with Dalton, I am purposely trying to keep him out of this stuff so that he can concentrate on his work, and he's been very generous with his time about getting involved in these extra, what I call extra things, but that's why you have this person in this job. To me, it shouldn't be to hand it off to Dalton, because he's already got plenty to do. So I've been trying to.
The only reason I asked that is because he's pretty familiar with.
Oh, yeah.
That's the only reason
doubt.
I asked that question.
I agree, he is familiar, and he's got the certification, so he's certainly
Yeah,
knowledgeable
I'm just
person.
asking what Dalton thought about that recommendation.
Well,
Well, he's
I
right.
didn't ask him, so I don't know.
Okay, all right, let it go.
How many things for the permits have come in that they've done in the city right now on the building instructions, and then have there been any complaints?
I have not had any complaints. Whitney collects the money from the, so the permits come in, they go to Safe Building, they evaluate the project, they price the fee, the permit goes to Whitney, the applicant comes in and pays Whitney and takes the permit. And so I don't even see how many we've had. I know we've had some, but I don't know, 15, 20 since they've been.
Somewhere around 15, yeah.
And they
I
say-
haven't gotten any complaints.
Well, I complained.
Yes, you did. Right at the beginning, right when we were in the middle of, well, I don't want in the middle, but we were just changing vendors at that point. And as far as I know, your questions were answered satisfactorily.
Not at all.
I'm not aware of that. So, but
Okay, do it on your own time.
if you want to take me, have a conversation about that
That's
outside,
I will.
that's that'd be fine.
You put it over.
I just want there to be consistency, and I want them to be familiar with our code, and I'm not sure that that was the situation. So I'll leave it at that.
That's a good comment.
That is probably true in your case. I've not heard from anybody else who's had similar issues. If they're out there, I'm not aware of
I
them.
certainly don't want that happening for residents where it's $1,000 difference in, a change order because of their not having knowledge of our code. So I don't want that to happen for our residents, so.
That's true. I agree.
So there is no contract on this. If we start having complaints within the next 2 months, 3 months on how they're doing things, we are not locked into keeping them here, or how does that?
I don't believe we are. I'll defer to the city attorney again.
There's no contract, so yeah, you could break that relationship at any time if you're not happy with it.
And I would just say with Teresa's situation, a lot of people don't complain.
That may be.
Well, a lot of people just don't say anything.
Yeah.
When you start talking to them, the things come up. You're walking up and down the streets, like I do, I'm a street walker. So, anyway, For exercise, people. For exercise. It was intended, the comment was intended to be good. But anyway, but I think that's true, of what you said, that a lot of people do not issue complaints.
Well, if they're not happy and they don't say anything,
Well, it depends degree of unhappiness.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah, if people aren't happy, they should speak up, because then the city can determine what is it gonna do
I mean,
given
I've
their
heard-
dissatisfaction.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard complaints prior to hiring any firm, to what we had prior. So.
Yes.
So,
I've
anyway.
heard those two.
Okay, move on.
Motion's on the table. Any further comment or not? Roll call.
Mike Jones,
Yes.
Harms,
I'll abstain.
LaFredo,
Yes.
Joseph Jones, Skiris.
Yes.
Next item is consideration of resolution 2020-32 to waive fees for the community center for the Windsor Heights Chamber of Commerce to auction off a free community center rental at the Celebration of Windsor Heights event on March 26, 2020. Value is $500, fiscal 20 to 21.
So moved.
Second.
Any comment?
Is there any limits on what days they can use it? Is it like a Monday through Thursday, or is it a Saturday night? That's a big deal. Is it only for a certain time period?
Yeah, it is just during the week, so Monday through Friday. Most of our Fridays going into the fall, or excuse me, going into the summer are booked already. We're asking that they clean themselves. If they want to provide alcohol, they have to pay the alcohol fee, and it has to be used by the end of this year.
The calendar year?
Calendar year, correct.
Further comments or questions? Roll call.
LaFredo,
Yes.
Skiris,
Yes.
Joseph Jones, Mike Jones,
Yes.
Harms.
Yes.
Item H is consideration of resolution 2020-33. Resolution setting the time and place for a public hearing on the proposed budget for fiscal year 20 to 21. That date will be March 16th. Motion?
Move to approve, set the hearing.
Second.
I've got a couple questions, I think, that I have to, I can remember what they were.
This is just setting the public hearing.
Okay, go ahead.
Roll call.
Harms,
Yes.
Mike Jones,
Yes.
LaFredo,
Yes.
Joseph Jones, Skiris.
Yes.
Next item is any reports. Susan?
No.
Joseph?
Tomorrow we'll do public hearing on the budget for Dutch. Midday.
Michael?
No.
Michael?
I attended Bravo's orientation last week. I was quite surprised that it is such a small organization. They actually only employ 3 full-time staff, and they write, I believe, around $4 million in grants. So that's very impressive. Next meeting is on Tuesday morning, 7:30. Oh boy. Thank you.
I knew you'd appreciate
Reese?
I have nothing.
Mark?
Prairie Meadows grant application in the amount of $20,000 was submitted for funding lighting of the underpass of 235 on the Walnut Creek Trail. And the city should get a response from Prairie Meadows around the 1st of July. We will try to have a pre-construction contract with Absolute Concrete on the 2 street construction projects that were approved before the next council meeting. Dalton Whitney, thank you for putting together the RFP for Colby Park Planning Services. It was sent out to 5 firms and is due in a couple of weeks. Bishop Engineering has submitted plans for expansion of the parking lot at Clyde Learning Center. This will be considered at the March 25th P&Z meeting. And if you're not aware, Jim Eggers has submitted his resignation from the Planning and Zoning Commission, so notice has gone out about the vacancy. If you know of somebody you think would be good, speak up, because we need another person to be the 3rd one in 4 months, I think, so. find somebody else. And it can be a male or female, because we have 3 and 3 right now, so either one.
Jim's been on there for a long time.
Yes, he's had approximately 20 years, so I think he's earned his pay.
I think it's done.
Congratulations.
Travis, you got anything?
Just the online code, version, it's their new version, so they're still working on getting it to display better. Civic clerk, I'll start some back-end work this week on it, and then we'll get it implemented. I'm hoping in May, we'll have it really implemented, so. And, I'll get out the agendas for Friday and Saturday's events this week as well. That's it.
We had budget review on the agenda. If nobody has any questions, everything is exactly the same except for anything highlighted, there's a little bit of difference. The main differences are really just, I had to add a few more dollars in that we're going to utilize from TIF in order to pay any overages for the street projects, which is just normal. The actual levy this year will be $14,476.11, which is a $2.04 decrease.
Good job.
Can you
Well,
read that to us?
I'll be honest with you, I wasn't the one that was pushing that was Mark.
That was me.
Mark was pushing
And
it.
I was actually pushing to go a little further, but
He was.
Michelle
I-
dropped the anchor on me, so I said.
Sharpen the pencil.
But next year, I'm hopeful that it will actually stay there or go even lower.
Yeah, it could go down.
It could go next year, it could go lower.
I don't think it's unreasonable to think it can be lowered and be sustainable, is my opinion.
Yes.
At this moment, anyway.
Agreed.
Mark, do you want to remind everybody of the Friday?
Yes. Yes, so Friday at 5:30, people can come to meet the city administrator candidates for an hour if you want to at the CEC. And then the interview process will take place on Saturday with the council members and department heads. And David Swartz is in charge of giving him tours around town. So thank you, David, for volunteering to do that. And I think he's trying to recruit somebody else to help him. But anyway, he's kind of in charge of that. So hopefully a decision will be made soon.
5:30 to 6:30 at the CEC Friday night.
Yes.
Thank you.
We have 5 candidates.
5 people. 3 from the metro area, 2 from out of state.
Next item on the agenda is to go into closed session, so thank you folks for coming.